Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Follow the Jogi. I'm Daisy. I'm a certified yoga instructor, and today I want to talk to you about building strong ankles to support full body comfort. So, I actually suffered from chronic knee pain for most of my adult life until I started doing yoga with my dog, Waffles. Together, we learned how to build flexibility and strength throughout the lower body, and that really relieved a lot of my discomfort. Well, all of it, really. In the first 2 months, I noticed that I my balance had improved. In another 2 months, I noticed that I didn't have chronic knee pain anymore. It was really very intermittent. And within 6 months, I didn't have knee pain whatsoever. I couldn't even tell you where my knee braces were. So, what does all of this have to do with building strong ankles? Well, I didn't realize at the time, but once I went through my yoga teacher training, I learned that the the strength and flexibility in your ankles affects everything above that. So, over the next few weeks, we're going to be going through a lot of joints and muscles in our body and figuring out exactly what impacts each one and how that helps us to feel comfortable on a daily basis. Because it's not just chronic knee pain that's affected by our posture. It's lower back pain, it's neck and shoulder pain, it's whole back pain. Most of the discomforts that we attribute to old age and just natural wear and tear are really because we're not necessarily naturally mindful as humans of the way that we carry our weight. So instead of our muscles carrying our weight and getting stronger over time, our bones ends up our bones end up doing that. And when our bones carry our weight, there is wear and tear. So, in realizing in realizing what was causing my discomfort, that it wasn't just the fact that I jumped off of all sorts of shit when I was a kid, or I had spent most of my life walking on my tiptoes. It was what those things led to, in addition to me not ever building strength and flexibility in my legs at all. I've never been a big fan of exercise, or at least structured exercise. I've always been very excited to play with my animals and take care of my animals. And there's usually a lot of natural exercise that goes into that. So I had spent a lot of my life with a deep resentment for structured exercise. And now I want to show you how you can turn playtime in with your dog into something that exercises your body but still feels like play, not work. So we're not going to call it a workout. So let's let's talk about what exactly it is that we're doing when we exercise our ankles and when we move our ankles just in general. Let me go ahead and get you a little bit closer to my foot. Waffles is relaxing right now because she smelled some FOOD smells. So I'm gonna let her pout about that for a minute while I show you some of our natural movements with our ankles. So we typically see this just our legs upright, sort of almost perpendicular to our feet, right? And that's what we assume is the natural position for our ankles. But our ankles are supposed to move in so many ways. We've got plantar flexion and we've got dorsiflexion. And then we can also move our feet side to side through the mobility of our ankles. Some people can move them much further than this. I'm still building a lot of strength and flexibility in my ankles. And when we have really strong ankles, then they can help to support our weight because they hold our legs upright. And when our legs are held upright, then our knees can actually land in between our ankles and our hips, which allows a much more stable position. Our our bones and our muscles don't have to work so hard to keep us upright when we have strong muscles down here holding our legs in that natural position. So the question becomes, how do we build strength and flexibility in our ankles? Well, let us show you. There's quite a few ways. The two that we focus on a lot are offering weight and playing tug. So if you are playing tug in any given posture, you're going to be developing strength. You're going to be engaging some kind of muscle. Another thing you are most likely to be doing, depending on what position you're playing in, is you're most likely to be practicing equilibrium training, which helps to support your balance and helps to train your brain as to what to tell your muscles, how to keep your balance, how to recover from a fall. And that's a really, really big one. I will tell you, for most of my life, I would joke about how horrible my balance is. And for the last couple of years, I have caught myself saying a few times, wow, I'm so glad I work out now. Again, we don't actually work out, we play. That's a big difference. But because I have built so much strength and flexibility in comparison to where I started, my balance is through the roof. I am down by the river, traipsing through the woods all the time, and I'm used to falling all the time. It's just part of life. But in the past, I would say probably year and a half, 2 years, I every time that I stumble, I don't fall. I catch myself before I even start to reach the ground, before gravity even catches me. So Waffles and I are going to show you, actually, I think the lighting is better if I turn this way. Yeah. Waffles and I are going to show you some of the tug games we play and some of the TRICKS that Waffles does in order to help me build strength and flexibility. I can't say that one fully because she associates that word with TREATS. So instead, we're spelling those trigger words because then otherwise she'll lose interest. Waffles, are you ready? Play. You've been waiting so long. One thing that is really helpful, because a lot of times we're trying to get our animals to play on our schedule, right? So something that's really helpful is to communicate with your body language, and this is really good for your body too. You're going to start to warm up your body by pressing your hands down, alternating which elbow is closer to the ground. Really create a lot of movement through your shoulders, lift your hips off the ground, and we're creating a lot of movement here. And while you do this, I want you to focus all of your attention on your pet. Really find the joy in your soul. Find the joy in your soul and how fun it is to move like this. And when your attention is on your pet when you're doing that, you're going to start getting them excited. So let's try and get Waffles ready to play. Waffles. And then we're going to pick a position to play in. Yes, that was so good. Yes, so good. We're going to start in a low lunge because this is a posture moving from a low lunge. Nope, Waffles, honey, get out of the kitchen. Waffles, out. Okay, dishwasher's open. One moment, one moment. Get in here. Good girl, yes. Come here. Go lay down in bed for a minute or sit. How about a sit? I don't want you to get too sit. Waffles. Good girl, stay. Okay, so we're gonna start in a low lunge because in a low lunge, you are practicing dorsiflexion in one ankle, your front ankle, and you're practicing plantar flexion in your back ankle. So when we move into a low lunge, you can start on your hands and knees. That's gonna be the easiest here. And then go ahead, good girl, go ahead and move 1 foot forward next to your hand, but inside of it. All right, this back foot is going to stay against the ground as firmly as is comfortable. If you can have it all the way flat against the ground and have that be perfectly comfortable, that's awesome. If you need your toe to be tucked a little bit, that's perfectly okay. Just kind of have it tucked as little as possible for you to feel a stretch but not be in discomfort. Staying within your natural range of motion and feeling nice and safe is going to be key here because we are already adding a lot of a lot of um a lot of not strain but positive stress. We're adding a lot of resistance through the game of tug. So in this position, I want you to just be mindful about what direction your knee is going. You do want to send it forward as far as you can to get a nice stretch in this ankle while you're playing tug to build resistance. But you don't want to go so far that your knee is drifting off to either side. You want to try and keep it over your toes as much as possible, and it's totally fine for you to just stay here. Now, while we're playing tug in this position, you're going to get the most benefit from moving from Anjaneyasana to half split. All right. So as we move from here to here, we can shift our front foot backward and forward to create a lot of movement through that front ankle. And then once you start to feel some fatigue in this ankle, switch sides. So now Waffles and I are going to demonstrate. I like to explain it before we demonstrate because Waffles it starts to get a little confused when I'm talking and we're playing at the same time. So I will be trying to do check-ins with you and I will be reading the comments and answering questions as we're playing. But if you don't, but I do want to make sure that I always give you a bit of an explanation before we start so that once we start playing, my focus can be on my animal because that's where your focus should be once you start playing as well. All right, Waffles, are you ready? Oh, you ready, Clay? You ready? Nope, we're not doing food. We're doing play. Yes, play. Remember earlier when you were shaking the toy and saying, Mom, tug with me? And I was like, we're going to tug in just a little bit. It's a little bit now, honey. You ready? How about some get your feet? Get your feet. Waffles, come. Come on. Waffles, come. Good girl. Sit. Listen, I know you did small food, but we're not doing food. No food right now. You just ate breakfast about an hour ago, and now we're going to play. Can you play Mama? Will you please? Please play Mama? Yeah? Thank you. All right, you ready? What? Tug, tug, tug. Tug, tug, tug. Good girl. Yeah. Tug, tug. Oh, honey. Okay. All right. So Waffles is not in the mood to play tug right now. So we're going to show you how offering weight is very helpful in this as well. All right, Waffles, come. You want to earn treats? Come. Let me move this. Stay. Let me move this up here so that you guys can see us better. All right. So come to that low lunge position. Good girl. And then from here, you want to press down into the ground. Get a nice lengthened spine. And on your exhale, bring your hands to your thigh and push down. Inhale, arms all the way up and Waffles. Pause. Good girl. And here's where you want to ask your pet to offer their weight. If you have a smaller animal, you can hold them in your hands and keep them closer to your chest. I don't recommend holding a smaller animal up here. It's a risk with little to no benefit. Now here, I can move my leg forward and back with Waffles on my thigh. And after a while, I'll start to feel some fatigue in my ankle. And then when I'm ready, or when she's ready, I can release her with a jump. Good girl. As she jumps over, I straighten into a half split so that she has less of a height to jump over. Huh? Jump. Good girl. Are there any questions so far? So we have low lunge to half split, building a lot of mobility in our ankles, especially when we add the resistance of tug or our animal's weight. Good girl. Yep, I know your zooks are over here. Now, anything we do on one side, we always want to do on the other to make sure that we're keeping balance in our body, that we're not strengthening one side more than the other, and then creating more discomfort in one side and only healing the other. Waffles, back up. Thank you. A little more. Back. Thank you. Now from the other side, we're going to step our left foot forward this time. Or if you started with your left foot, go ahead and step your right foot forward. A lot of people like to start with their non-dominant side because it helps you remember to work both sides evenly. So I'll push into the ground. Just really being mindful of keeping my spine nice and long. If I had a smaller animal right here, I would bring my hands back down either this way, depending on how my shoulders feel. If I feel like I want a little bit more of a stretch in the shoulders, I'll bring my arms out to the side. Otherwise, I'll just bring them down in front of me, and that'll stretch like the back of your shoulders down here a little more. Whereas opening them out to the side gives you a little more movement through your neck and upper shoulders. So that's what you want to do, especially if you have a smaller animal that you're going to be doing this kind of movement with. Since Waffles is larger, I'm not really worried about where my hands are. Waffles, pause. Good girl. Yeah, nice. Just gonna go ahead and move back and forth here. If you do have a smaller animal, you can do the full transition between low lunge and half splits without interrupting. And jump. Jump. Good girl. Wait. Oh my gosh. Okay. Back. Waffle says I need to do more. Oh, okay. Pause. Good girl. And I would say I do depend on her judgment a lot. I found that she's much better at catching those imbalances than me. And jump. Good girl. And bang. Good girl. See, she's much more food motivated than toy motivated. But that's not true of every dog. All right. So we're gonna try and get her to play tug in this position again. And if she doesn't, I mean, I'm not gonna force her or anything. I don't really think there's a way that I could force her, but I wouldn't want to anyway. So if she doesn't, then I will just show you with the toy how I would be moving if she was playing with me. Another thing that you can do if your animal isn't in the mood for play, but you are, is you can practice playing with them using a weight. So if Waffles wasn't in the mood to do tricks for treats, as we call it, then I would grab a weight and do that same thing. Trying not to lose my balance. So you don't necessarily need an animal to practice this. But we are going to try because when we hit 2 targets with a single arrow and we exercise our dogs and exercise our own bodies, the level of accomplishment that you feel while also feeling the joy of play it's just beyond amazing. And that's something I want to share with you. So I am going to try this again. Okay, I got a little bit of a perk of attention there. Okay. Shit, you ready? Come on, come on. Ready, set, play. Yeah, yeah. Waffles, come play. Come play with me. How about we do the grab it trick? You want to do grab it trick? Come. Is your mouth tired? Give me a kiss. Your mouth is tired, yeah, because you were playing too much by yourself before I was ready. All right, that's fine. Lay down and wait for the next trick. Waffles, come. Lay down and you can wait for the next trick. Or you can play. So if she were playing, and I do have some clips of us doing this exact exercise. You may see it on social media, on YouTube, on OFTV or OnlyFans, where we have our premium yoga subscription as well as our free fan page. So lots of places where you can see us do this in live action. Unfortunately, she's just not in the mood right now, but I will give you a demonstration. So I would ordinarily drag it around me like this. And if Waffles hadn't smelled the food that I started cooking, then she would be grabbing it. And as I tug, I would continue moving between these postures. All right. Moving from a low lunge to a half split and back again. And then I'd switch legs. The one thing to remember with your animal is they may get fatigued faster than you expect. So try and keep it to like 2 reps on each side until you start to develop an idea of your animal's endurance and start to notice it building. All right, so then other side, I'd be tugging and she'd be pulling and I'd be tugging. And she'd be pulling. Now, when you play tug with your animal and you're moving in and out of these postures, it's a really good opportunity to test and make sure that you're not rigid. We do not want to be rigid in these postures. We want our animals to be able to pull our body and have our muscles go loose and limp and follow them when they're tugging. And when they're tugging, when they're just lightly pulling, when they're in between the whole shaky pulls, that's when we want to pull them. So it's like this sort of give and take. It's not a competition. It's not who can pull hardest or who can get the toy. It's your turn to pull, my turn to pull. Because your animal isn't going to be pulling at a consistent rate the entire time or at a consistent force the entire time. So you want to learn those ebbs and flows so that you can move with them. And the more that you practice tugging with them and practice moving in different postures while you tug with them, the more naturally this is going to come. You can also, and you can do this in any posture. So I want you to try Virasana with me, which is hero's pose. It's my favorite posture for addressing knee pain because it builds strength and flexibility in the knees and in the ankles. It does also support flexibility in the hips, but the main focuses here are the calves are getting stretched, the knees are getting stretched and strengthened because they're in this deep compression, and then the ankles are also getting stretched because they're in this deep plantar flexion. So you'll want to take a block, okay, and then come to your knees and bring your legs all the way together. I'm gonna scooch forward a little bit, scooch over to the side so you can see what I'm doing, and then maybe at an angle, there we go. Bring your feet just wide of your hips so that if you were to sit down, your hips would come in between your feet. I don't want you to sit down yet though. Before you sit down, you can place a block or you can place a larger dog toy or a cushion or a blanket. Whatever works for you works for me. It makes no difference. All we're trying to do is elevate your hips a little bit. A block is probably going to offer the most support depending on what kind of block you have. But if you like a little cushion under your bum and you don't like something hard, then by all means choose something that fits your body and your lifestyle. So when you do come down to sit, your feet will be just wide of your hips and your knees will come all the way to the end of their natural range of motion. So as you start to develop more strength and resilience and flexibility in your knees, you can lower that support little by little so that eventually your bum has reached the ground, your ankles are fully flexed in this plantar motion, and your knees are fully folded past 180 degrees. Because when you sit in, this one is called thunderbolt pose when your feet are underneath your bum and supporting your hips rather than off to the side. But when you're in thunderbolt pose, you can really visualize exactly how much flexion is possible with your legs right underneath you, because although it looks like our knees are completely flexed, our calves um and our hamstrings our calves and our hamstrings are actually getting in the way. So they're limiting the range of motion that our knees have. Whereas when we step our feet just wide of our hips, we can actually flex our knees all the way to the end of their natural range of motion. But that's not something we usually do. So it's really important to start with the support. And when you stop feeling that action in your ankles and in your knees, that's when you want to go ahead and lower it a little bit and eventually remove it completely. You do want your hips to be supported at all times, though. So if it's not comfortable for your hips to be on the ground, just slide something underneath there. And then when you're in this position, you can also play tug. So lift up and in through your abdomen to support your spine. And imagine something pulling you up, just whether it's by your shoulders, by the crown of your head, whatever you can visualize, and you can have your eyes closed if that's helpful for you. But whatever you can visualize, that's what I want you to do. Is just rise all the way up and then relax your shoulders. This is going to help to support your spine, especially your low spine here. And then from there, you start tug. You start tug. And you want to move. Allow a lot of movement in your body. Remember, we're going to go loose whenever our animal gets very overzealous with their tugging. And then when we feel them letting loose a little bit, then we'll go ahead and straighten up, lifting through the core, pushing down through the shoulders, and allowing that to create whatever movement it's going to send through the rest of our lower body. This is a really great one to start with, especially Waffles. No, hey, don't do that on camera, please. Thank you. Good girl. Um, this is a really great one to start with, especially if you struggle with your flexibility in the beginning of the day and you are having a hard time keeping your knee over your ankle when you're moving in low lunge, then I really recommend just coming to a seat in Virasana with something under your butt and play with your dog there. Now, if your dog is more food motivated than toy motivated, I have another solution for you. Go ahead and let's make sure you can still see her. Okay, so go ahead and come to Virasana with your knees together, feet just wide of your hips, some kind of support under your bum, and then invite your dog to join you. The way we're going to do this is we're going to flex one arm and we're going to ask our dog to put their weight here. Waffles, come, pose. Good girl. And then rise, good girl, stay, and fall. Try and squeeze those knees together as you're going up and down. And this is building a lot of strength and flexibility in your ankles because you're pushing your feet into the ground and you'll feel that action through your ankles. All right, you ready to do the other side and then you get a treat? Is that deals? Okay, come over this side. Pause. Waffles, back up. You missed it. Pause. Good girl. So we rise up, pushing into your feet, squeeze those knees together, and come back down. Rise up, squeeze those knees together, and come back down. Off. Good girl. Let's get you your treat. Good. Good girl. So there are a couple more postures that I want to show you how to move within with your animal. One of them, the next one that I want to lead you through, you want to either start with Virasana or that low lunge to half split movement, depending on what feels best in your body. And then we're going to move to a narrow squat. So let me go ahead and move this up so that I can show you what this one looks like. Now, this one is sometimes a bit of a struggle for me because it requires slash builds a lot of dorsiflexion in your ankles. So this is about where I was last week. This is a narrow squat. Legs straight, Tadasana, narrow squat. So wherever you start doesn't matter. You just want to keep moving. Make sure if you have any questions, you drop them in the chat. I'm here to help you. So anything that I know about your specific obstacles and your animal is something that I can tie into our lessons. So bring your feet all the way together and squeeze your legs together. That's going to help you to train your knees to move towards the direction of your toes. I don't know about you, but for most of my life, whenever I would bend my knees, they would go outward. A lot of people are bow-legged, I think it's called something else, but they're bow-legged in the opposite direction where their knees bend inward. But when you keep your feet and your legs together as you bend your legs, they can only go in the same direction as your toes. So squeeze your legs together, keep your feet together, and come down and back up. Here, same thing. You're just playing with your dog. You're playing tug while you move between these motions. And maybe you go a little deeper. Maybe you put your hands on the ground and practice straightening your legs a little bit and bending them a little bit that way. The most important thing to continue building dorsiflexion in your ankles for this posture is just to keep your legs together. Waffles, do you want to tug? Yeah, she still doesn't want to tug. Watch, she'll want to tug at like 11 when we're all done. But that's okay because there is another way that we can play with our dogs here. Waffles, come. You want to earn more treats? Come. Ready? Pause. Good girl. So we can either ask them to rest their legs on our thighs, or we can just hold their paws, not actually hold them with our hands, because we don't want them to not have the freedom to release themselves if they start to get fatigued. We're not trying to push our dogs past their limits. So you never want to hold onto them. Like when I say hold their paws, I never mean with your hands. I always mean with your arm as a support. You ready? Pause. Pause. Good girl. Bend and rise. Waffles is starting to get a little tired. Are you starting to get tired? Yeah. Okay. Go lay down. Now from a narrow squat, we want to also make sure that we're building stability in our ankles. And the best way to build stability and strength in your ankles is by standing on one leg. So one of my favorite ways to do that is with a very simple flamingo pose. So with your legs together, because you're going to want whatever your standing leg is to be stacked closer to your center. while still being able to place your other foot down. So with your legs all the way together, lift your right leg back and hold on to it with your right hand. And then on an inhale, bring your left hand all the way ahead over you. Here we are in flamingo pose, and this is such a fun one to tug in because we can tug like this, or we can tug like this and get even more strength building and feel more action in that standing foot. So again, we can hold on to our foot to start to get our body used to this posture. And then when you're ready, you can move the toy into your opposite hand, the one that would usually be holding your foot, and keep that foot up using your leg instead. And then bring your opposite arm over your head. Balance on one foot while you try and play tug with your dog. Now, how we ask our pets to offer our weight in this posture can vary. I'm going to turn to the side here. So you can lengthen this space a little bit so that you can ask your pet to put their paws here. Waffles, come. Yes, good girl. Up. And another thing that you can do is you can ask them to just put their paws on you in general. So let me switch sides so we're exercising evenly on both sides. Waffles, paws. Good girl. Oh, don't grab me, sweetie. All right, so it's easiest to set her up for success to set your pet up for success by placing the widest part of your body towards them. So when I am facing you, Waffles only has my hips to place both paws on, and that's very difficult. So she ends up trying to just sort of grab me, which is fine, but it's not very stable. So instead, I'm going to make sure that I face her so that she can land her paws on my abdomen or on my hips. If you think your animal is likely to place their paws on your abdomen, please make sure that your abdomen is covered so that you are not at risk of scratches or infections. Ready? Make sure we breathe. Exhale, lift my leg. Inhale, lift my arm. And Waffles, pause. Yes, good girl. Come here. Pause. Good girl. I know you're trying to tackle me, but that's not what we're doing. Let's try again. Sit. I just need to give her a little more direction. Pause. Good girl. Oh, I know. Good girl. Nope. Pause. Yes, good girl. Yes. Now she is starting to lose her balance because, like I said, she's starting to get a little fatigued, which is perfect because the last posture that I wanted to show you is actually a resting posture for your animal. So come to a seat and place either a block, a cushion. I shouldn't have said either. That's not proper grammar for what we're doing here. So come to a seat and place a block, a cushion, dog toy, whatever. Like I said before, whatever works for you works for me. Doesn't matter. Just put something under your butt to elevate your hips, and then bring the soles of your feet together. Here we're going to practice this flapping butterfly pose. This is without the movement. The posture itself is called Baddha Konasana. That just translates to bound angle pose because we create this angle and then we bind it with our hands. So whenever we grab our ankles or our feet or we grab anything with our hand, that's when we start adding in the word bind. Let me scooch back a little bit because I'm right at the edge of my mat. Oh, you need a treat, don't you? I'm so sorry, Waffles. Yeah, you did earn treats. I think I owe you 2 of them. 1 and 2. Thank you. And then I will put 1 more for this last trick in my pocket here. All right, so come to a seat. Yep, that's what that is. Honey, give space. I have to show our friends first. Back. Waffles, back. Thank you. Stay. Feet together. Hands go towards your feet. And notice how this feels in your body first, all right? So kind of get a little movement in here just so that you really feel. You can do some cat cows by inhaling, pushing your shoulders down your back, arching your back into this cow shape, and exhale, push into your shoulders, arch your spine, rainbow your spine the other way, and cat. Really just kind of creating this sort of comfortability in this posture with your feet out. And then when you're ready, ask your dog to join you by sitting in your lap. And down, down. Good girl. Now, when you do this, do your best not to wrap your arms around your pet. That's going to make them feel uncomfortable, as I just demonstrate wrapping your arms around your pet. So see, when I do that, when I put my arm over her, she repositioned herself trying to find comfort. So you do still want your hands to go towards your ankles. Let's move your tail so they can see. And maybe even hold your ankles, but you don't want to create a confined space for your animal unless that's something you're specifically training right now. And if you are training that, make sure you have an abundance of treats available, because that's something you're going to need to change their natural instinctual association with. For today's purposes, when we're talking about building strength in our own bodies and helping to support our own wellness, then we want to make sure that we keep our animal space open as much as possible so that we can make sure that they feel comfortable and that they enjoy helping us in our practice. If your dog does this, where they clearly have a lot more weight on one side than the other, you are going to want to ask them to help you on the other side afterwards. In the meantime, though, Waffles, honey, I need to be under you, though. There we go. Make sure your hands are going towards your ankles, that your feet are together, whether your soles are up or against each other. Doesn't really matter as long as your feet are together. Once we start flapping our knees, you want your soles together. It's going to be more supported. So if you are doing static, doesn't matter. Your soles don't have to be together as long as your feet are touching. To create more strength and flexibility in your ankles, go ahead and push your soles of your feet together and flap your knees. Your dog is creating some natural resistance here and helping to create more strength and resilience in your ankles. If you do choose to do this statically without flapping, please make sure that you have a support under each of your knees. Does anyone have any final questions? Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this practice, and if you did, please make sure that you're subscribed so that you don't miss the next one. Make sure you turn your notifications on. We will be live every Monday showing you how to strengthen another part of your body and build resilience throughout your body with the help of your animal. We will see you next time. You ready? You need your treat now? Oh, I'm so good. Okay. Good girl.